Hey there, Gavin Gu here from UltimateReloader.com. You know, ever since I saw the 357 SIG cartridge, I was fascinated by it and I knew I had to reload it. 357 SIG was created by Sig Sauer to basically duplicate 357 Magnum performance in a compact cartridge that could be fired from a semi-automatic pistol. So I thought, hey, it's a bottleneck pistol cartridge. That's kind of odd, that's kind of different. I can't wait to start playing with this. So in this video, we're going to take a look at 357 SIG. We're going to set up some dies on the press here. Actually, I've already got them dialed in. We're just going to install them. I've already got primers loaded. I've got my cases already lubricated. So I thought we could load up some cartridges. We could do a little bit of shooting. I got a drop-in Lone Wolf 357 SIG conversion barrel for my Glock 20, which works really well. So I thought I'd give you a little guided tour of 357 SIG. We'll have a little bit of fun shooting. And yeah, it's really fun. So let's get going. So let's take a quick look at what we're working with. I've got a whole bunch of 357 SIG Spear once fired range pickup brass I got from a friend. And I've sprayed that with Hornady One Shot. It tends to work really well even in sub-zero temperatures, which is what I've got going on right here. I've also got 9mm Hornady 147 grain XTP bullets. I've already experimented with 124s in XTPs. They work really well. 357 SIG is an interesting cartridge because it's essentially about a 40 Smith & Wesson neck down. Now a lot of guys will say you need to use 10mm brass because 40 is actually not quite long enough when it's necked down. But I'm using range pickup brass because I have a whole bunch of it and don't need to form it. But essentially it's 10mm or 40 Smith & Wesson at the case rim, and then it's necked down to 9mm. So that's how you get the 357 Magnum ballistics. Essentially is you get basically the energy level of 40 Smith & Wesson but neck down for more velocity. So powder capacity wise similar to 40 Smith & Wesson, 9mm bullet going faster than a 40 caliber bullet would be going in a 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge. So I'm also using a Lee 3-die pistol set. This is not offered with the factory crimp die, but from the discussions I had with folks online, the factory crimp die works great in these bottleneck pistol cartridge applications. So I added that. The case comes with enough slots for all four. And then we've got the RCBS Uniflow powder measure. This came with my RCBS Pro 2000. Have this all set up for pistol. So let's put the dies on the press and we'll get to loading. So in station number 1, we've got our sizer deprimer. Station number 2, I've got the powder through expander die, and I've got the funnel adapter here, which will keep the expander secured. So it'll flare the case at the top of the stroke. And that's because we're using a different powder measure. If we're using a Lee auto disc or an auto drum here in station number 2 or 3, we could combine those stations. But with 5 stations, we've got plenty of room. So I'm going to put the Uniflow in station number 3. Station number 4, we've got our cedar, and then factory crimp die in station number 5. Okay, so let's do a test cartridge. Run one case all the way through the press. I've already validated my powder charge. I've already validated my depth for bullet seating. One more super important step to go through here, and that's to use our case gauge. This particular case gauge is an L.E. Wilson 357 SIG case gauge. We're going to drop that in and validate here. This is super critical with 357 SIG, which head spaces off of the shoulder. A lot of misinformation out there on the internet around case mouth versus case shoulder for head spacing. This cartridge head spaces off the shoulder, and we're going to be able to use our sizer deprimer depth to adjust our headspace there, our sizing. So that looks good. I think it's time to run up the press and do some full progressive loading. All right, so been surprised at what great results I've gotten right off the bat with 357 SIG. Because some guys will tell you, oh, you're kind of a glutton for punishment, but it just hasn't been a big deal. Doing a visual on my powder each time as well, which I double checked. Getting into the rhythm here. Inserting a case into station number 1 each time. Inserting a bullet right before stage number 4. Pretty soon we're off and running. So I'm reloading in sub-zero temperatures here, so my hands are a little bit slower manipulating the brass and the bullets, but the Hornady one-shot is working well. I've noticed in reloading in sub-zero temperatures, case lube is just critical, especially with rifle, of course. 357 SIG is a bottleneck cartridge, but it sizes really easily compared to long bottleneck rifle cartridges. I don't want to load too many right off the bat because I want to run quite a few through the Glock 20 to make sure that we're going to be functioning. So let's actually kind of run things down. I'll show you how easy it is to work with the Lone Wolf drop-in barrel for the Glock 20. All right, here we go. So the cool thing about the Lone Wolf drop-in barrels is that they work with all of the components that come with the Glock 20 in this particular case. Same spring, same Glock 20 magazines, and here I have the 2040N, which is the 40 Smith & Wesson drop-in barrel for the Glock 20. Also have the 2357N, which is the 357 SIG drop-in barrel for the Glock 20. You can see there the difference in diameter for the bore itself. So very easy to install. I'm just gonna check my chamber here. We're indeed clear. Gonna do the standard dropping of the slide. Remove the factory barrel. Install the 357 SIG Lone Wolf drop-in barrel. Get our spring into its slot. And then just reassemble the pistol with the slide. Good to go. All right, it's time to try out these 147 grain loads. Super curious to see how these are going to perform. All right. Well, the recoil is a bit less than 10 millimeter, but still fairly stiff. In fact, I could feel just a touch more recoil compared to the 124 grain loads that I was testing last time. And 100% functioning. This Glock 20 has functioned 100% with my reloads for 10 millimeter auto, 40 Smith & Wesson, and now 357 SIG with both 124 grain bullets and 147 grain bullets. So I got a bit more work to do. I'm going to attach my Magneto Speed V3, experiment with load data to optimize my performance. Might even load some 115 grain 9mm bullets. Lots of fun. So if you want to try 357 SIG, I would definitely recommend that you go for it. Hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any of the action on Ultimate Reloader, please subscribe to my channel. Until then, happy shooting and happy reloading.